The unfiltered love story of Kim Kardashian and Kanye West. Secrets, scandals, and silent cravings by Top Facts. There's a reason why the world couldn't stop watching Kim Kardashian and Kanye West. It wasn't just about the fame, the fashion, or the fortune. It was about the kind of love that burns fast, deep, and dangerously bright. From whispers behind closed doors to headlines that shattered the internet, their story has always been one that left us breathless, always craving more. But what really happened between Kim and Kanye when the cameras weren't rolling? What secrets did they share in the silence? What passions stirred when no one else was watching? Welcome to the story the tabloids only hinted at, the real, raw, and reckless love saga of Kim Kardashian and Kanye West. And trust us, you've never heard it told like this. When Kanye first laid eyes on Kim, she was still orbiting the edges of Hollywood, known but not quite crowned. He, on the other hand, was already a lyrical legend, a producer turned rap god with a vision unlike anyone else. Yet even in the middle of his fame, there was something about her that stuck. Something about her walk, her whisper, the way her eyes told stories she'd never say aloud. He was smitten long before she knew it. In his songs, in his sketches, in the hushed talks with friends, she was his muse before she became his lover. Behind the scenes, their flirtation was a slow-burning ember. Rumors swirled long before they were ever officially linked, whispers of late-night calls, secret meetups, and electricity that couldn't be tamed. They were both tangled in other romances, public ones, but their connection was quiet and dangerous. Kanye would later admit he watched Kim marry Kris Humphries with a sinking feeling in his chest. Not out of jealousy, but because he knew something the world didn't. They were never meant to be. When Kim's short-lived marriage to Kris ended, the door creaked open, and Kanye walked right through. Their first public appearances were bold, electric, and dripping with silent declarations. They didn't need to say much. Their body language screamed everything. And then came Paris. The city of lights turned into a city of fire when they arrived. Kim, radiant in form-fitting gowns. Kanye with that watchful gaze that never left her. Photographers captured the looks, but they missed the moments. Those quiet seconds where fingers brushed, where eyes met, where words didn't need to exist. Insiders whispered about hotel hallways filled with laughter that melted into the night. About extravagant dinners followed by long walks that turned into something far more intimate. About the way Kanye looked at Kim like she was the only star in his sky. But it wasn't just desire, it was obsession. A need to protect her, shape her, elevate her. He saw her not as the girl from a reality show, but as a goddess, an icon. And he was determined to turn her into art. Then came the music. Kanye poured his feelings into lyrics, beats, rhythms that dripped with longing. His song Bound 2 wasn't just a music video, it was a love letter in motion. Kim, barefaced and bare-armed, clinging to him on a motorcycle, was more than just a visual. It was a declaration. She was his and he wanted the world to know it. Some critics called it over the top, but those close to them knew it was real. It was how they existed, loud, lustful, unapologetic. Their love wasn't without chaos. It couldn't be. They were both forces of nature. Kim, polished perfection with a past she never tried to hide, and Kanye, unpredictable genius fueled by emotion. Together they created a storm. But in that storm was intimacy that defied understanding. Friends talked about how they'd disappear from parties early, hands locked, their laughter echoing as they vanished into the night. About long nights in hotel suites where music and candles mixed, where creative brainstorming turned into stolen kisses, whispered dreams, and touches that lingered far too long. Their wedding in Florence was straight out of a fantasy. The walls of white flowers, the dramatic aisle, the lavish gown. It was a moment that froze time. But even beyond the photos was a moment few know. Just before walking down the aisle, Kim paused. Kanye walked up behind her, brushed a loose strand from her cheek, and whispered something only she could hear. Whatever it was made her smile in that way she only ever smiled around him. Soft, sure, and slightly wicked. Marriage brought new layers to their love. It wasn't always smooth. There were highs so dizzying they seemed unreal, and lows that felt like free falls. But even when they argued, there was heat. Passion. Kim once confessed in an interview that their fights could be intense, but so were their makeups. And though she didn't spell it out, everyone could read between the lines. They lived in extremes, and the same fire that lit their candles also sometimes threatened to burn down the house. Kanye, in his brilliance, could also be chaotic. His public rants, political declarations, and sudden shifts in behavior brought strain. Kim, ever the calm within the chaos, stood by him. But privately, it wasn't always easy. There were nights where she'd sit in silence, unsure how to reach him. And there were nights where he'd wrap his arms around her, needing her grounding presence like air. Their bond was physical, yes, but also deeply emotional. They knew each other's secrets. They understood each other's wounds. Rumors, of course, never stopped. Whispers of Kanye's control over her fashion choices. Was it love or obsession? Gossip about her tears behind closed doors, about his absence when she needed him most. Paparazzi caught glimpses, her tired eyes, his distant stare. But then, just when everyone thought they were fading, they'd show up hand in hand, dressed like royalty, reminding everyone why they were the most magnetic couple on earth. What many never saw were the quiet gestures. Kanye sending her flowers for no reason. Kim leaving handwritten notes in his suitcase. Late-night texts filled with inside jokes. The kind of love that doesn't always make headlines but leaves a mark. And the kids, they changed everything. Watching him with North, St. Chicago, and Psalm revealed a side of Kanye few had ever seen. Tender. Protective. Playful. Kim saw it too, and it deepened her feelings for him. Even when they drifted, the love never really left. Their eventual split felt like a shockwave, even though the cracks had been showing. Kim's tearful interviews, Kanye's silence turning into lyrical confessions. They had built an empire together. But sometimes even empires crumble. Still, there was respect. And underneath it, something even more haunting. Unfinished business. Because the truth is, when two people share that kind of fire, it never truly dies. It smolders, waiting. Even after their separation, their story wasn't over. Kanye bought a house across the street. Kim wore his designs. They co-parented like a team. Fans speculated, were they reconnecting? Rekindling? Secret rendezvous, private dinners, cryptic posts on social media. It was enough to keep the rumor mill alive. And truth be told, neither of them tried too hard to stop it. One source close to the couple once claimed they had a language all their own. That even now, when they speak, it's not just words. It's memory. History. A pull neither can fully escape. Kanye would often mention her in interviews, sometimes fondly, sometimes fiercely. Kim, though more guarded, always left space for mystery. "We had something unique," she said once. "It wasn't perfect, but it was ours." There are stories no one will ever know, moments unphotographed, kisses unseen, soft giggles in the middle of the night. Kanye and Kim didn't just fall in love. They created a world, lived in it fiercely, then watched it transform into something else. But deep down, the echoes of that world still call to them. And sometimes when the world goes quiet and the cameras stop flashing, you wonder, do they still hear it too? Their love wasn't meant to be soft. It wasn't quiet. It was designed to shake the walls. And maybe that's why we still talk about it. Because love like that doesn't fade, it lingers. In songs, in fashion, in every whispered rumor and every accidental glance. And maybe, just maybe, that's the point. So the next time you see Kim on the red carpet in a daring silhouette or Kanye dropping a beat that makes your chest tighten, remember, you're not just witnessing talent. You're catching a glimpse of a love story that refused to play by the rules. One that still lives in the space between the headlines and the heart. Because when it comes to Kim Kardashian and Kanye West, the real story was never what they told us. It was what they never had to say. And that's what makes it unforgettable. This was the unfiltered, untold, and undeniably magnetic love story of Kim Kardashian and Kanye West, brought to you by Top Facts. If you think you've heard it all, think again. The truth is always in the passion they never tried to hide. Stay tuned for more stories that go deeper, darker, and dangerously real. Until next time, keep craving the facts that matter.